besties, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cayenne and this is Cayenne is Booked. And today we are going to be doing a little bit of a deep dive into one of my favorite authors and one of my favorite humans in general, Heather Long's Backlist. So she has a lot of series that she's written, and I'm going to be talking about the ones that I, number one, have completed, and number two, how they connect or how they don't connect, and then what tropes are in it, how many books there are, etc., etc. So with that being said, I'm going to start off first with the ones that I've started but I haven't finished. So the first one is going to be the Wolves of Willow Bend series. I think I'm on book 6 of this one, but essentially it's the Wolves of Willow Bend. It follows different couple pairings in the pack at Willow Bend. And how like those couple pairings end up in like pack dynamics. I have had the best time reading the series. Like I said, I'm on book 6. I don't know how many total there are in the series. I know there's a couple more that she's wanting to get out in the next couple of years, just because the Wolves hold such a special place in her heart. But if you like shifter romances, these are MF though. So I want to asterisk that because the series I'm going to be talking about today, all of them follow more of an RH vibe, if you will. But if you really like MF series, then I highly recommend picking this up, especially if you like shifters, fated mates, you know, the alpha who falls for the other alpha, just like the different pack dynamic relationships and like the idea of like finding your one true love or like your mate and things like that, and like what that looks like for the pack overall. And then also to ferreting out people who don't deserve to be in charge of packs and new alphas taking over. So they all kind of interconnect, but you can read them separately, is the vibe that I get from it. However, being who I am, like I always read things in order. So I've read them all in order and I'm having a really great time with it. Actually, like my goal is to finish the series in 2024. So really excited about that one. I also started her Shackled Souls series, which is a reverse harem paranormal series that has a succubus, a dragon, oh gosh, there's 2 more things, a vampire, and then it has one more thing, and I can't remember what it is at the time. I'm like literally almost at the end of book 2, but more than likely I'll go back and like reread them just because it's so good. Like I love anything having to do with shifters. I love anything. Fiona is so funny, man. Like she's one of the funniest heroines that Heather's ever written, and I just have so much appreciation for her. So if you're looking for a good laugh, if you're looking for paranormal romance, if you're looking for like that fated mates aspect, then I highly recommend picking it up, because even though I'm not finished, I'm still having a really great time with it. Now, here's what you're really here for, right? We're going to talk about I would say the 5 main series that if you were to look Heather up on Amazon for right now, would more than likely pop up, right? And those 5 series, I'm going to pop this little guide, I guess is the best way to say it, this guide that she posted in her reader group the other day of like, because a lot of people I'm asking like, oh, do I have to start here? Do I have to start there? One thing I do want to say before I like dive into the 5 series I'm going to be talking about today is that you could literally pick up the first book in any of these series and not be confused about where you are, the storyline you're in, the importance of X, Y, and like you will be able to pick it up and be within that story. However, if you want to read in publication order so that you can kind of pick up on like the different cameos and the different nods to different series and maybe a character or 2 that comes from this series, but like we're reading this series, then I do recommend reading in like kind of like a publication order. So with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start off with the way that I started reading Heather Long. So imagine it's back in 2020. I have been furloughed from my job like many other people because there's a worldwide pandemic happening. I'm on the internet and I'm looking for like, you know, a reverse harem series to read. I don't know which one I want to read. So I go to this group that I'm in Facebook and I see a post for the 4th series in the Untouchable series by Heather Long, right? And I'm like, okay, this sounds really cool. And I read the synopsis and I'm like, okay. And I go to Amazon and I'm like, oof, there's the first book. So Rules and Roses is the first of 12 books in the Untouchable series. And this series follows Frankie, Bubba, Archie, Jake, Coop, right? So there are 5, our couple, if you will. I don't mean couple, but you know what I mean. The group that's in the relationship of the reverse harem. And this is a very intense situation of friends to lovers, because they're all best friends at the start of the book, but at the end of the series, obviously they're going to get their HEA as promised in romances. And don't anybody at me in the comment section, because if you're reading a romance and you know there's going to be an HEA at the end of it. So with all that being said, let me tell you about Frankie and her guys. We start off, Frankie's in high school, as are her guys, and they are kicking off senior year, 181 class days until they graduate. And for the first couple of books, like, they are seniors in high school. We are following like the trajectory of like how the relationship builds, dealing with the parental drama that they have, because I want to say there's only one of them that has like a really stable home life from like a parent relationship perspective. We're not a big fan of Frankie's mom, because Frankie had to grow up hard and she had to grow up fast. Like, literally, Frankie has a job to pay the bills at her house because her mom just doesn't do it. And so the guys and her have been together for a while. Like, they've been friends like for years. Her and Coop have been friends like literally forever, I'm pretty positive. And this is the start of a very, I want to say, a wild ride, because like we see them graduate high school, we see them go to college, we see them become new adults together, we see them like forge this relationship together, and it's such a fun ride. And you're probably thinking, oh, 12 books. But the good news is, and I'll go ahead, I'm gonna put this down and I'll pop the graphic up right here that shows you all the covers and all of the titles. The really good news is like all of them are on audio. So if you're a huge audiobook lover like I am, you could listen to them on audio. Like Heather picks amazing narrators. Like, I love her narrators, especially when we talk about another series later on. I'll definitely highlight one of the narrators there. But she does an excellent job of choosing narrators. So they're all on audiobooks. They're all on Kindle Unlimited as well. So if you're a KU reader, all of Heather's books are on KU. So you can read them there as well. But it really is just so fun to follow. Like, I love being able to follow couples for like longer periods of time. So that's why I really do like eat up longer series, because I like to be with them. I like to see like how they're living their lives. Like, oh wow, this is another situation where they kind of have to navigate something new together. Like, what does that do for their relationship, type of thing. So I really enjoyed this series. I love it. It's reverse harem, friends to lovers, new adult, what do you call it? Just like adulthood? I don't know. It is a slow burn. I do want to go ahead and point that out. So like, if you're expecting like sex in like the 3rd chapter, like gonna break your heart. However, it's steamy, y'all. But you have to be in for the character development. You have to be in for the ride, and you have to be ride or die for Frankie and her guys to get the payoff of like how hot the series becomes. So you really have to want to be a part of their story, and you really have to want to be a part of like the ridiculous character development that they all go through together, especially like through the different like aspects of their lives. So from Frankie and the Guys, my next recommendation would be that you pick up Problem Child, which is the Blue Ivy Prep series. We meet the main character, Caitlin Cross, in Untouchable. I want to say it's about halfway through the series is when we meet her. And I was not the only reader in Heather's reading group being like, hey, how do you feel about writing Casey's romance? Are we ever gonna get hers? Like, does she get a harem too? Or is she like just the one guy girly, you know? So when she finally announced Problem Child, we were thrilled. And I do just want to point out, like, this is one of my favorite covers that Heather's put together. It is stunning. I love the neon blue for it. And I think that, like, it's just, like, absolutely perfect, especially for Caitlin Cross as a character. So this is a reverse harem. It is a slow burn. There is no sex in book 1. So I want to be very clear that there are reasons for that, but you have to read the book, because I'm not going to tell you why it's like that. But it makes perfect sense when you learn more about Casey and like who she is as a person. So it is a slow burn. It is it's a teaching assistant, student relationship, 3 stepbrothers times 3, rock star romance with the douchebag 3. But we love the douchebag 3. We truly adore them. And like, you know, like there are some like that have our heart earlier than others. And then there's some that you're really rooting for until the end. But like I said, the character development is unmatched. I love the rock star aspect of it. I love like how down for her the guys are when they finally realize like what they're feeling inside their hearts and like why they can't stop thinking about her. There is a stalker in this one as well, so like please just be aware that like there are some darkish elements. She is kidnapped, but like not in the fun way that one of our heroines I'm going to talk about is kidnapped later on. She's not kidnapped in a fun way. There is like on page, yes, there's on page of that later in the series. But if you read the trigger warnings in the front of the book, you'll know which one it's in. However, this is so much fun. Casey's hilarious. We get the cameo from the other girls that are in her girl bands. And watching the guys try and figure it all out is so funny. And it's so worth it. I absolutely love this series. This one's only 4 books, so I'll put this down. I'm gonna put the graphic up here of the 4 covers. I actually am staring at the box right there that has the special edition foil covers. I didn't open them up before this because I'm going to do like another separate post for it, but I do have the fancy special editions. But I mean, once again, like unmatched, she did an amazing job with these covers. And I'll also put up the special edition covers as well. Just because like they're so cute, and every single one of the covers matches up perfectly with the stories and the characters. So like everything on the covers makes complete sense. Like the, what do you call it? The symbol covers makes complete sense to the story, and they all tie back to something is I guess what I'm trying to say. So from Untouchable, we go to Blue Ivy Prep. Now, we have a little cameo of our next one that I'm going to be talking about in Untouchable. However, like it's not like she's as prominent of a character as Caitlin Cross was. So the next one is going to be Emerson and her group of guys and Savage Vandal. This is the 82nd Street Vandal series. And Emerson is an aerialist and a dancer, like a very famous. She's with a touring company. Like she does shows all over the United States, all over the world, literally tours for a living. And is kidnapped a couple chapters into this book because the guys who kidnapped her notice that she's being hurt and that she is being essentially sexually assaulted, and they don't want her in that scenario anymore. And as a reader, we're like, okay, this escalated quickly. But as you get to know the guys and as you start to understand them more, you realize that there's a whole web of a backstory for them. And it's a heartbreakingly beautiful backstory. And I'm not saying anything next that Heather doesn't know, because I've definitely admitted this to her before. But the Vandals hold such a special place in my heart. And this is honestly my favorite series that Heather's ever written. It is 9 books and it follows Emerson, and she has 7 guys. A lot to keep up with, but she has 7 guys. And this is a story of a girl who is broken beyond repair, it seems, who has been through so much in her young life, who has fought to get to where she is, and is reunited with somebody, and the support system that he has ends up turning into her support system, and she ends up being able to fly again. And it's a beautiful story about picking yourself up from just some horrible things that happen to you, and how you can turn that pain into something that's beautiful, and how you really can learn to trust again. And I just like, oh, it's angsty, it's enemies to lovers, it's kidnapping, it's gangs, it's war, it's death of characters that you don't want to die. None of the main characters though. I don't think I'd ever forgive Heather for that. It's watching her go from being so closed off and so scared of everything to starting to love life again, and starting to open herself up and building these relationships. And while it's unconventional, it's perfect for her, and like integrating herself into this world. And I love the fact that there's a lot of scary things that she has to go through with her guys, but she's not what I would deem like a dumb heroine. Like if the guys ask her to do something, she doesn't just run off and get herself in more trouble. She listens to them. It's a back and forth. Like the communication is so beautiful in this series, especially with the number of guys that obviously she has to manage. But it's just everything, you know what I mean? And I I just have such a warm place for Emerson and Her Guys. And I'm going to put this down now, and I'm going to put the graphic up for all of the book covers, because there's one thing that Heather will deliver, and it's a hot man on her cover, okay? It's a hot, hot, hot man on her cover. And I'm not going to tell you who my favorites are, but if you know me, then you can take a peek at these covers and you'll know my types in here. And you'll know the ones that I don't really fall for in the reverse harems. But I will be coming out soon, like with a ranking video for which books are my favorite, which books, you know, this is a 5-star series for me. So if you're into dark romance, if you're into all those things I just listed, I highly recommend picking up Savage Vandal. So now I'm going to kind of veer a little bit, but it's going to make sense, okay? This follows Vienna and Her Guys, and it's a serial killer romance. And this is by Heather Long and Blake Blessing. Oof, that was tough. So by Blake Blessing, and they're co-writees. So they usually do a co-write, like one co-write a year or like year and a half, depending on how long the books are. So this follows Vienna, and she's the daughter of a serial killer, and her dad goes missing and or is presumed dead. So she carries on essentially the family business, right? And she picks up her 3 gentlemen along the way of doing that. Now, I put this in front of the series that Heather is currently writing because this is finished, and you see cameos with these characters in the 82nd Street Vandals series, but you also see them in the next series I'm going to talk about. So I thought, okay, this would be the perfect time to discuss them. Essentially, Vienna is taking out child molesters, other serial killers, people that her father deemed as monsters. There's a whole spreadsheet for them, right? And she lives off the grid in a very specific way, and she's going to carry on her father's work while also simultaneously trying to find out who killed her father, right? And the guys that she ends up hooking up with are the first real companions that she's had outside of who her dad is. And it's such a funny mishmash of gentlemen that she finds herself. She only ends up with 3, but they're quite a 3. That final one also too, that he's interesting. But I really loved the dynamic, and I loved that they were just so down for her. And I love too, like the simultaneous writing of Heather Long and Blake Blessing, because what's really nice is like you don't feel those shifts. And I'm gonna put this down and put up the other covers. But you don't feel the shift in between when one writer picks up and the other writer drops off. So like it really is very simultaneous, and it's a beautiful co-write. But I love Vienna. I love that she's a baddie. I love that she's trying to rid the world of what she would say is monsters. And I just love the idea of honoring her father, but also trying to find out what happens. So it's a very twisty one. I love the twist that they had in there. I love the revelations that you find out in the last couple of books. It's dirty, it's grimy, like it's a reverse harem. It has killing, like on-page murder, like all types of things. So like definitely check the triggers. But like it's no more gruesome than I would assume, like I would say a Criminal Minds episode is, because that's really what this series reminds me of. But instead of it being from the team tracking down the serial killer, like we get to watch the serial killer work, which I thought was fascinating. And now we're to the series that Heather is currently writing, which is the Bay Ridge Royal series. So this is Shamelessly Loyal, and this one ties into Savage Vandal. Okay. And the biggest tie-in, I'm not going to tell you, because like I want you to read Savage Vandal and realize like the connection. But this is the Bay Ridge Royal series. This is book 1, and this is Lainey B. And Lainey B and Emerson are best friends. And we meet Lainey B and 2 of her gentlemen, no, 3, well actually we meet all of the gentlemen in the 82nd Street Vandal series. In one way or another, we interact with them, but we really do see Adam and Ezra like the most. And then the other 2 I don't want to spoil, so I'm not going to say who they are, but just know that like you do meet them ahead of time, which is why it is recommended that you read 82nd Street Vandals first. However, this right here is a novella, and this novella right here gets you caught up on a lot of the past between all of the 5 characters. So the 2 gentlemen I haven't mentioned, Adam, Ezra, and then Lainey B. This novella gets you completely caught up and ready to dive into the second book. And I'll go ahead and put the graphic up here. She is still writing the series. Deceptive, Truce just came out, so she's 3 books in and then currently working on the 4th book. If my math is correct, 1, 2, yes. So my math is correct. This is another continuation of kind of drama that started in 82nd Street Vandals, but it's like a step up because we're battling like, the dads in this series, like, we hate them. So we're battling the dads, we're battling like the rich upper class people who like don't have anything better to do with their time than to cause drama. We're battling like deep bloodlines and old money and them trying to figure out like where they fit into everything and all of that. So I'm loving it. I'm completely caught up on the series. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, Bay Ridge Royals has me in a chokehold right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm having the best time with these characters. I'm having the best time watching them all come together like as a couple and like build that trust and build that communication. And there's just that little like excitement, like it's angsty, it's dark, it's enemies to lovers, and it's best friends to lovers, and it's childhood friends to lovers, and it's just all of these really beautiful things coming together, and watching it like blossom is just, it's everything, y'all. So I hope you've enjoyed my extensive, and I'm gonna pop the graphic back up here just so you can see my suggestions of where to start with Heather's backlist. If you have any questions, like, please feel free to drop them in the comments, and as always, feel free to like slide into my DMs on Instagram and message me, because I'm always willing to talk to you about these books. Even if you just need to vent as you read through the books and you like kind of hit some of these cliffhangers, like, I'm here for you, okay? I'm always here for you, and I'm always here to like support you. I will link Heather's reader group in the comment section below, as well as links to all of these series, because like I said, you can start anywhere you want to. My recommendation is always going to be that the way that I read it, because I feel like it's the best way to read it, which is publication order. But really, like, if you're looking for best friends to lovers, then I highly recommend that you read Untouchable, right? If you're looking for a rock star romance with stepbrothers, then I recommend you pick up Problem Child. If you're looking for serial killers and death, like, hello, Killsong. If you need more men, a really dramatic kind of spin to things, an aerialist dancer who is broken and you want to see her get her wings again, I highly recommend Savage Vandal. And if you just want to meet a lady who is going to be one of the most powerful women that this upper rich white class society has ever seen, then I highly recommend you pick up Shamelessly Loyal and start the Bay Ridge Royal series. There is literally something for everybody, and that's why I truly love Heather Long and her series so much. I really, really hope that this helps you kind of make a decision about where you want to start, or help you kind of decide and feel better about the fact that like you can pick it up anywhere and still enjoy any of these series. So I hope to see you in Heather's reader group at some point. Let me know if there's any other authors that you would love to see me, if you know I've read a lot of them, if you'd love to see me do a video for. I have a couple of ideas, but I do have a couple backlists that like I'm halfway through, so I might have to wait till I get to the end. However, thank you so much for watching. If you got this far into the video, I really hope that you pick up one of these series and love them just as much as I do, because, you know, I just really love these fictional worlds and I love being able to share them with you. Please, always, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And you know what? I'm going to catch you in the next video. Bye.